shut emails because it like the dinging.
So where is the time
Yeah, where did that go?
thing?
Unless we're
Are we
live now.
live? It says we're
Yeah, it's
live. Oh my
showing
gosh,
live.
Marla, you didn't even get a countdown.
We've been live the whole
Hi, everybody. So welcome to the Vegan Stew. Usually we have this countdown and dancing, so we could just do that maybe and just kind of, get some motion so people like go, what do we need to listen to here?
a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. Well, we're well-oiled except for our fearless leader, which should become obvious if it hasn't already, that Helene Ann is taking a well-deserved vacation because she does all this bazillions of planning things for Veg Fest. Marla and her hubby John planned the Chicago Vegan Mania for years, and that was just one. And Helene does this like all over the planet. So she gets to take some time off. Tonight is that. So we're going to try and step in and see what we can do here. So if there are any technical glitches, just chalk it up to this is our first time doing this. But welcome everybody. If you are listening on everybody's platform.
Ink all over. I'm not dirty. I just got ink all over my hand. I'm sorry. I'm just trying.
The sign of a good writer. Yes. So that's Marla. And you guys just introduce yourselves. Why don't we do that?
Hey, I'm Marla. Welcome everyone. I'm going to say hi to Shayla just because she's new this week and we want to welcome Dr. Shayla. Hey, Dr. Shayla, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? None of us have met you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Dr. Shayla Toombs Withers. I am located in Tennessee. I'm a double-boarded family medicine and obesity medicine doc and physician health coach. So I'm plant-based, have been for several years, and I counsel patients on preventing and reversing chronic disease with lifestyle changes. So happy to be here.
Oh, we're so glad to have you.
Yeah, really. How did you, if I may ask, and I used to be a TV reporter, so I may just fire a bunch of questions if that's okay. How did you jump on this bandwagon? Whatever, doctors usually don't get this.
Yep. Yeah, for me, it was a personal thing. So I had started to develop a lot of GI issues over the years as I got older. And so I'll give you the short version. I went and had the full workup done. Nothing was wrong. And so my doctor I was seeing at the time said, well, let's just try an elimination diet. And so dairy was the first thing that we tried because, just the majority of people are lactose intolerant. And even just after a couple of weeks, I felt just totally different. Didn't experience any of that stomach pain anymore. I'm a reader. I've always been a reader, and so I delved, more into food and how it played a part on our body. And just over the years, I changed my diet, felt great, felt better than I had felt previously, and then I began counseling my patients on the same, and we started seeing lowering blood sugars and lowering blood pressure and improving cholesterol and all of these things. And the proof is in the pudding, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's interesting that you say that, and I know we need to introduce Nous too, but one of the things that I notice myself is when I try to encourage people who still consume dairy, just like if somebody wants to take like a gradual approach, like I feel it seems like people feel so much better, almost everyone, as soon as they quit dairy, that like that's like the first thing to go rather than meat even. You know what I mean?
Right,
because
exactly.
It gives you the momentum,
Yeah, it's amazing. And just looking at the studies, there are so many people from all different ethnicities and backgrounds who suffer from lactose intolerance and they don't even know it. And so you just think about how many people are walking around, in discomfort when just something as easy as just, removing the milk or the yogurt can make, a world of difference. So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
Should we say hello to Nous? What's that?
Or just, say what, I mean, I sort of introduced you, but not very much. So you want to say more what you do?
Me? Me? Little me? My husband and I co-founded veganstreet.com in like 97 or something like that, a really long time ago. I'm a writer. That's my primary thing. My husband's a graphic designer. We do communications for business, vegan aligned businesses and nonprofits, and logos. Like, so he's from advertising. I'm a journalist. So we do it all. We just want to raise the professionalism of the vegan business world and nonprofit world, because so many people are heart-centered that a lot of times the professionalism just kind of falls by the wayside. So we try to bring that. So anyway, that's us. And as Ellen said, we co-founded Chicago Vegan Mania, which is no longer, but that's fine. It ran its course and for 10 years. But yeah, it was slowly killing me, but that's no big deal. But it's okay. It's a labor of love, as we talked about with Helene last week. Like, people don't get into it for anything but really the desire to spread the word and bring more. You're not getting in it to get rich. But I do want to introduce Naus. Naus is in the house, as I like to say. I'm sure I'm the only one.
Hi. It's a pleasure to meet you, Dr. Shayla, and it's really awesome to hear your story and how you got started. And I have been vegan for about 27, going on 27 years now. I started when I was 16, and it started out as a very simple having a friend who was just vegan, and she was very hippie and I'm very goth, so it's so funny to see the dynamic between us. But she's my sister from another mother, and I love her to death, and we're still friends to this day. And she had me try something that was plant-based, and I did my research just like you had your adventure. It was immediately like, let me do some more research. And I immediately went started off vegetarian pretty much at first, and I'm Nigerian. So right then and there, we're all about goat meat and beef and chicken and fish, but it's not necessarily something that's like staple unless it's for that particular dish. You do find more and more vegan versions now. There's a lot of vegan festivals that are actually happening in Nigeria now. But it was video or a band that I went to go see, and they are human rights activists. Not human rights, I'm sorry, animal rights activists themselves. And I saw my first experience with what happens with factory farming, and it was an immediate switch from there. And I immediately was like, it's beyond for your health. At that point, for me, it was like, it's definitely about a bigger purpose. And that was my switch and introduction into veganism. I have 2 little ones, and they are also vegan themselves, and it was great to find a vegan pediatrician, which you rarely find.
Yeah.
And it was great to find one. And I have a business that's called Morale and Morning, and I know that there is a different view to veganism in terms of cooking and what you can do, because food is a canvas. And I just take my love of a culture that I have, which is the goth subculture and alternative subculture, and use that to show, because everybody always laughs, but I'm like, not all vegans are rainbows and unicorns. There are all of us who are fairies and dogs, and it doesn't necessarily matter the outside that we look. It's what we're all there for the same purpose, be it for the animals, for our health, for the environment, for marginalized individuals, for advocacy. That's what we're there for. And it goes to show that there's just not one face to veganism. There's not just one race to veganism. There's not one particular look or style. If you judge the outside, then you're not following what the principles are to being vegan. Right. You don't know what compassion is. So I have been fortunate enough to be able to also bring or show that there's a lot within the entertainment industry in this particular genre that are very much vegan. A lot of the goth culture is pretty much vegan or vegetarian. And you have, it's great to see more and more people coming out who are. A good case in point would be, I don't know how familiar you guys are with AMC Studios, but Mayfair Witches is coming out. And the executive director, she's vegan. She also did Sabrina for Netflix, and that's how we connected
Cool,
with each
yeah.
other. So she's vegan and she's awesome, and she's also goth. So that's how I got to work with her. Really cool to see more of that expanding within all genres, all form of media, and not just putting one face or stamp on it. So that's what I do. And it's
Wow,
to be here with this wonderful
awesome.
woman who love my quirkiness and weirdness and and
Yeah.
Thanks
In
for
other
sharing
words,
that. I feel like
Mouse is your typical West Coast hippie white vegan.
whatever. Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it at all.
Just kidding.
well, each week
Aw.
we learn a little bit more. So it's just fascinating stuff. I mean, everybody kind of shares their own experience. Mine, just very briefly, I almost died of a colon blockage when I was 28. That was 42 years ago. So my sister, both sisters and mom and aunt all had breast cancer. We were part of the BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene studies. I'm the only adult female in my family without it. That same year that I started changing my diet, I started running, and just kind of became, so many people said you can't run on a vegan diet. So I started this mission of just trying to place in as many races as I could to show that vegans get plenty of protein. And so behind me is 263 5K or longer age group cohorts since 2006, just on plants. And so when people come up to me at a race, seeing I'm wearing a vegan headband or a shirt, they'll go, they'll start asking questions. And I like to say, hashtag running is my activism. But, do lots of things. I've written 6 vegan health and fitness cookbooks. That was my first one, which became so popular 11 years ago, believe it or not, and it still is, because the price of beans just never goes up. So I was on book tour pretty constantly before COVID, and became a certified personal trainer and certified running coach, and doing a lot of stuff now online. So that's that. All right. Well, we do have a topic for tonight, but before we get there, Marla is our news correspondent. So you want to just share what the top vegan
I was like
headlines
doing
are?
the tapping, like the old fashioned typewriter noise. First of all, Ellen, your tagline should be, I started running and I never stopped. I guess you haven't, but which is awesome. So
and I'm 70. Did we say that? 70? Yeah. Okay.
Pretty impressive, I've got to say. Not your everyday 70-year-old.
Power of the plants.
Yes, exactly. So this is just, I'll just keep it kind of short. Today's news item is, I've got to put on these glasses now. That this like a big ambitious program in New York City. Mayor Eric Adams, who I believe follows a primarily plant-based diet. There's like definitely, questions here or there, but whatever. We're going to say primarily plant-based, and we can be good with that. Has announced that there is going to be a collaboration with a college of the American College of Lifestyle, offering every healthcare practitioner in New York City free introductory training in plant-based and lifestyle medicine. This is covering the training of up to 200,000 doctors, nurses, dietitians, anyone in that sphere. It's a huge, it is just an introduction, but I'm sure it's going to compel a lot of people to dig in deeper, and you have to start somewhere. And I think that's just a huge investment in the medical community, New York City, patients, it's just like, and the other thing is that the vegan aspect of it is just one of, I think, what they're calling like 6 pillars of health that are being offered as part of this program, which is like good sleeping, stress management, those kinds of things. So anyway, I just thought that was really cool news, because we know that like nutrition is not a subject that's really emphasized in medical school. Is that right, Dr. Shayla? Is that what you?
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing about New York has really led the way. It's one of the states that has really been leading the way in plant-based nutrition. Even, beyond this program, I read an article, and it was earlier this year, where even in their school system, they started instituting a plant-based school lunch program in some of the public schools, which is just amazing. I've got 3 school-age children, and we send their lunch most of the time because the stuff that's offered at school is just terrible, even what they consider to be a vegetable. So yeah, yeah. And so, it's just amazing what New York has done. And then for them to institute that as part of the training, yeah, it's with the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and some of the pillars with that, it's just good preventative medicine in general. So it's movement, it's, nutrition with more plants on our plate, it's sleep, it's stress, that are all proponents of that. And just to have more practitioners just educated on that can help us all. I really wished that more folks were educated on it, because if we think about healthcare dollars and how much we spend
Yes.
on these chronic preventable diseases, a program like that can even, reduce the impact of diabetes and heart disease. Heart disease is still the #1 killer in America, even after the whole pandemic and everything else. And so, just more people putting plants on their plate can help to reduce these healthcare dollars that we spend. So I applaud them for doing that.
That's fantastic. It just is, I think sometimes we don't realize how slow progress is in this particular sphere. I think people are always ahead of governments and ahead of big institutions like that. So this is sort of like the demand was well ahead of when you're starting to see like the actual manifestations of it. So it's really exciting and important and long overdue and all of those things, but yeah, it's
Yeah, for sure. And I think, it's going to be interesting to see how many even of the practitioners, get on board, because I find sometimes amongst my colleagues, a lot of them aren't even on board in terms of, the science, because, we know, depending on the lobbyists and who funded the study and those kind of things, can be swayed one way or the next. So it'll be interesting to see that side of the impact too.
For sure.
Dr. John McDougall, I think, was really on that bandwagon for a long time, trying to get just one course in medical school taught to doctors. So I don't know. Have you seen the results of his work in this area, or is that, I think he was kind of focused on the West Coast, but have you seen?
Yeah, most of his has been on the West Coast. Now, I will say, where I went to medical school, I am an osteopathic physician, and nutrition was a part of our training. Now, it was not a full, on plant-based course, but we did have some nutrition training. But I have found that it was probably more of an anomaly. In the osteopathic world, medicine has always been seen as more of a holistic thing versus, more traditional medicine. And so, that may have been more unique to an osteopathic school.
That's true. I also wonder how current that information is about medical professional, like MDs not getting adequate, like it used to be just like,
woo-woo,
various 20 hours or something like that. So we'll see what it is now, but that's awesome. It's very important.
So we have Dana Cohen saying that she has a doctor who's a gynecologist and is a proponent of a vegan doctor. My OBGYNs, I mean, going back to when my kids were babies 30 years ago, they didn't use the word, but he said, if you want to avoid breast cancer, you might consider, they called it, a low-fat vegetarian diet.
Right.
So that's kind of the euphemism then.
I
But
wonder,
I just wanted to add, I asked Dana if she was comfortable sharing the name of her doctor because we're
yeah.
also desperate to find vegan doctors if the doctor does telemedicine. So, I would just want to ask you, doctor, if you want to share, do you do
Mhm.
telemedicine and do you
I
welcome
do.
people who are listening? Because I think we need to get that out there as well.
Yeah, for sure. I do telemedicine. In my health and wellness coaching program, it's open to anyone in the world can take part into that program.
Cool.
And there's a lot of the lifestyle components that are within it. I call it a more mind body balance approach because I do a lot of teaching on the interconnectedness of nutrition and what we put on our plate and how that's connected to us having the energy to move, like you're able to run all of the races that you do, and then also the interconnectedness of our mindset and our mental health, and how all of these things play a part. And so that's a lot what's combined into the coaching program. And then I do also offer preventative and chronic care telehealth services. I am licensed in over 25 states, so yeah.
Very cool.
That's fantastic.
Well, be
And
sure
there's
when
a
you're not talking,
website.
throw your contact information in the chat if you would for people
Oh
to
yeah,
reach.
I will. And there's a website, Plant-Based Doctors, for anybody
Yeah, I
who
was gonna say
isn't
there's
familiar.
like
Yeah, and it's
resources.
like a whole database too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Should we get into our topic when
Sure.
because I know we always have a lot to say, right? There's Nouse.
Is there any other news of the week that we wanted to share?
Oh, I think a little birdie told me something about Ellen. Was it Ellen Jeffrey Jones? Yes, Ellen Jeffrey Jones and running. Something.
Okay. So let's just get through this real quickly. So this is what
Sorry.
my haul from this weekend. These are 3
That's
gold
just from
medals.
this weekend?
This weekend, Sunday. So past weekend, 3 gold medals and 4 silver medals in all 7. I was the only woman, one of 2 women in the 70 to 74 year age group to compete in all 7 track events. When I've done it at nationals, I'm the only woman in that age group to compete. So I placed in every event. So I'm totally qualified to go to nationals again next summer in Pittsburgh. Sorry, I'm not, if I'm going to blow my life savings, I wasn't looking forward to Pittsburgh.
Ellen, you're allowed to feel yourself a little bit right now.
Okay. All right. So anyway, the point is, I'm just on this holy terror to show that vegans get enough protein and energy, and stamina now is the word they're using with me, because nobody does 7 track events in one day. And so I was a little sore, but the cool thing about being vegan is the recovery is amazing.
Yeah.
And we generally don't get arthritis. And, I was a little sore, but and when I've done other running events with other vegan runners, we're always pretty cool with how it just doesn't hurt so much. And our meat eater colleagues are walking around with painful legs and everything.
Yeah,
else.
limping and stuff.
Anyway,
Yeah.
just wanted to throw that in there. You're never too old to start doing these kinds of insane activities. You just have to learn how to do it safely and finish without injury. That's always my goal, because runners get real cranky if they can't run, and I want to be doing this when I'm 100. So there.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's great, Ellen. I'm a triathlete myself, and so I also powered by plants, same as you. And so
Your free time, right?
right.